What's up, everybody? I hope you guys are well. Coming to you live backstage with PV3. We're stoked to be backstage with a lot of our VIPs here on Zoom. We're streaming this to Twitter Space on Grant Cardone's Twitter Space and Instagram, and we are a lot of places today. We're here with our live show. I hope that you can join us live. Every week we do this Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go to backstagewithpv3.com and you can join us live every single week. We're bringing you backstage. You know, what you see front stage is not always the same of what you know backstage. The wisdom actually happens backstage. The magic happens backstage. You really get to know who a person is backstage as well. And so I'm stoked that you guys are here with us today. We continue to bring you the best of the best in the world. And today you guys are in for a treat. You're in for a treat. I want to give you a little wisdom today. And before we bring in, you will rarely hear me say these words. This is one of the best speakers that I've ever heard in my life. And today is one of those few people that is the best speaker that you've ever heard in my life. Like I can count and I can picture in my mind maybe 5 to 7 people that come to mind that I'm like, they are world-class and they are the best in the world at what they do. You get to hear from one of those today, but I want to give you a little piece of nugget today. The question I get asked all of the time is, what is my favorite book? And I'll tell you what book I'm reading right now. I just got done. I just actually posted on Instagram. I just went through the most phenomenal Bible study that I've ever went through in my life, from Priscilla Schreier, called The Armor of God. Literally 45 years of my life, not a more powerful Bible study that I have ever went through than The Armor of God, The Armor of God. And I just got to hang out with her at my home church this last weekend. The book I'm reading right now is called Mind Shift by Erwin McManus. He is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant teacher. And people often ask me the question, what is my favorite book? And I think when you get asked that question, you're going to hear a lot of Think and Grow Riches, and you're going to hear a lot of these books. I'm going to tell you my favorite book. You do not have to be a Christian to subscribe to what I'm about to tell you. It's the book of Proverbs. It's the book of Proverbs. There's 31 of them. I have now re-picked up my practice of reading one a day. And it is my favorite book out of any book, because so many personal development books were actually taken from the book of Proverbs. And I want to give you a little nugget today that I shared with my wife that I hope that will serve you before I bring our guest on. Proverbs 19:8 is actually something that I'm memorizing right now. And this is interesting because it's two-pronged approach. And I'm starting to understand why I'm not winning in some areas of my life. Why am I winning in some areas of my life and why am I not winning in other areas? This is for everybody. Proverbs 19:8 says to acquire wisdom is to love yourself. To acquire wisdom is to love yourself. Whoa. Okay. So to acquire wisdom is to love yourself. But people who cherish understanding will prosper. People who cherish understanding will prosper. So part of it is, okay, I'm gaining the wisdom. I'm gaining the wisdom. And I'm gaining the wisdom, and that means I'm loving myself. But the issue that we a lot of times face is that we don't understand the wisdom, and that's where we prosper. And so I just ran into a client of ours who they resisted understanding the wisdom of financial reports and financial statements. And they asked themselves, why are they in a mess with finances? Because they resisted the wisdom. But check this out. I got another person who studied on financial reports and financial systems. They've gained the wisdom, but they haven't translated it to really understanding the wisdom, so they still resist it because they're not walking out the understanding of the wisdom. It's not clicking in their brain, so they're resisting it. And I could take this to your health. I could take this to your finances. I could take this to your relationships. It's one thing to love knowledge, but the actual prospering comes in the understanding of the knowledge. The understanding of the knowledge. And so go ask yourself a question today. This is my nugget today. Go ask yourself a question today. Where am I not winning? And I'm going to tell you, you either have a knowledge problem or an understanding problem. You see too many people in the personal development freaking eat up the knowledge, but they don't let it translate into the understanding of the knowledge. Let me give you one incredible piece. My wife and I were always talking about real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate. And then we started to understand knowledge that if you become as you become a real estate professional, there's all these benefits to becoming a real estate professional. So we began to understand that knowledge, but it's one thing to do nothing with it. But once we understood it, we began to implement it. Once the light bulb went off in our minds to stop resisting and just learning, and it became understanding, bam, it made a big impact in our lives. We invest a lot with Grant Cardone. We invest a lot of places in real estate, but we didn't just get stuck in the knowledge bubble. Too many people just get stuck in the knowledge bubble and don't really truly understand it to begin to then implement it in their life. So check with yourself today where you're not winning. Check with yourself where you're not winning. And I bet you either have a knowledge problem or an understanding problem. You want to love yourself? Go after knowledge. You want to cherish understanding? You're going to see success and you're going to see profitability or winning in that area. So I just wanted to drop a nugget today, but I'm stoked about today's guest. I got the chance to meet her a few years ago. We got the opportunity to hear her speak. Not only did I believe she's one of the greatest speakers that exist on the planet, but my wife believes that. And that's even more validation because my wife doesn't, my wife likes a few folks, but man, first time she heard her speak in Las Vegas, my wife said, I see why you see I now understand why you believe this human being is so special. Because she's a powerhouse, man. One of the top female speakers in the world, been very, very successful, the top earner in network marketing on the female side of things. But she's also launched her own company that helps people really wake up and see all of the opportunity that exists out there for her. So very successful network marketer, very successful entrepreneur, great investor, an incredible human being, and one of the top speakers that exist in the world. Guys, would y'all welcome to Backstage with PV3, Stormy Wellington. Come on, yeah.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me, man. So listen, I wrote that down. That was so good. Thank you so much for that golden nugget. It's crazy how I was thinking the same thing today. Like you could be talking and people are not comprehending what you're saying. And that right there is a tragedy. So thank you so much for that confirmation today. I'm excited to be here, but you pumped me up so big. I got to try to be one of the best speakers. Now, why would you do that to me?
Well, listen, we're interviewing today, so there's a little pressure off of you. There's a little pressure off of you, but man, I'm telling you, if you hire speakers, hire Stormy. Like hire her, man. Like hire her. She is the real deal, and she's incredible. So Stormy, I'm stoked to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I mean, just the energy. I've been on a whole new mind shift lately. So thank you for having me today.
Yeah. So let's just give everybody a little background of Stormy and the before and after version of like who she is before we get to like present day. Like just tell us a little bit about Stormy and what you would want us to know about Stormy.
You know what I would say is that, my life has not been a crystal stair. I came from some very humble beginnings that I'm very grateful for. I believe that I have that story of if she can do it, man, I can do it. And I remember hearing that as a younger girl, and I used to get offended by that. It's like you're trying to downplay what I've done. But the truth is, I didn't graduate from high school. I dropped out of school in the 9th grade, literally like the first 2 weeks because I was pregnant. I had my first child at 15. My first time ever entering into a strip club. I was 13 years old. I had to try to make things happen back home. My mom was off selling drugs. And because of that, I was, that little girl that had to figure things out. So there was no water back home. And so my first time ever making money to pay a bill, I was 13 in a strip club. That story for me, it makes me proud because I could have stayed on that path, but instead I kept going. And I end up, opening up my own boutique by the age of 19. And so I learned a lot about retail and sales and entrepreneurship as a hustler. I've always been a hustler. I sold candy in school. I sold t-shirts. I used to steal things from the store and sell it. Like all those things made me the woman that I am today. I learned resilience. I learned fight. I learned respect, integrity, character, honor. I learned how you start is not how you have to finish. And so now I believe that I'm the voice for the people, especially that minority, that little Black girl, that little Latino girl that didn't have a great childhood. A lot of us didn't grow up with a two-parent household. I knew what the lighter sound like when my mom was lighting a cigarette or when she was smoking crack and I was only 8 years old. And so those type of things, made me decide to become somebody. I don't know if y'all ever heard that story of the two young men that was raised by a drunkard father, and one became a billionaire and one was a drunk. And they asked him, why are you a drunk? And he goes, because my father was a drunk. And then they asked the one that was a billionaire, well, why are you a billionaire? He said, because my father was a drunk. And so, perspectives, but my perspective made me the woman I am today. The woman that's worthy enough to be on this call with Pete Vargas, the girl that was worthy enough to speak on Grant Cardone's stage. I've coached 38 families to millionaire and multimillionaire status in the last decade. I own my home, contrary to Grant. I own my home free and clear. It feels good. I could pull money from it if I want. I'm still out here in the field of network marketing. I love it. I've written 4 books. I have 4 bestsellers. I have my own community that thrives and derived from struggle and pain, and we thrive on helping women and men become the highest and best version of themselves. I've been in 7 network marketing companies, made it to the top of all of them. And I can tell you this, it wasn't about IQ. A lot of times, they say you got to be the smartest, and I'm a pure example that it's about our will. It's not about IQ. The will that I have to become and to continue to become the highest and best version of myself is probably like none other. And so I'm excited to be here, and anything that I could contribute to humanity today will be an honor for me. So thank you.
Man, guys, and I was about to, give some love. I see fire being dropped in the chat. I see guys, unbelievable. And I was about to ask her a question, but she answered it with a story, which is so profound. I was curious of what had her go a different path. And I actually thought the same thing. Like even my mom and dad, I come from a single family. I come from a big Hispanic family. Mom and dad separated, divorced, tried to make it happen multiple times. And I'm asking myself the question, what had me succeed? And it's the same thing. Like one can make an excuse for it and another makes it that what had them actually want to get the most out of it, to say, I never want that in my life. And I think too many people, Stormy, for way too long, I feel like Grant tackles this head on. I think there's only so long we can continue to blame our past and our parents, and I'm not saying there's not been a past and there's not been parents, but somewhere along the line, we got to just take the ownership, right? You can't just keep, and listen, this is a guy who's been through some counseling and I've gone through some things, but sooner or later, we have to take a hold and stop blaming people, our parents, or our past, right?
Yes. I don't know if y'all ever heard this, but there's a saying that say you're born looking like your parents, you die looking like your choices. And so for sure, I'm grateful. I don't have no resentment. My mom, she died at 61 years old. I held her hand up until her last breath. My father is still living, but I don't blame them. I believe that they did the best that they could with the wisdom and the knowledge that they had. But I think that how you start should give you a level of momentum that you want to be the one to break the generational curses off your family. You want to be the one that says it stops here. Because I was born, that's no longer going to be my family's history. And I think that's what I did. I took responsibility for being the one that said my kids won't be like how I was,
Dang, that's so good. So Stormy, talk to me so one of the things I want you guys to know, this is obviously Backstage with Speakers. So I'm going to tell you, one of the things that has Stormy stand out the most is the power of her as a communicator. I've seen her on Grant stage. I had her, she was the only person I brought on a stage when I promoted, actually there's 2 people, but she was one of 2 that I brought on a stage when I was promoting Bishop Jakes' book a couple of years ago. She's been on my stage. I've seen her on her stage. I've seen her everywhere. So I'm going to tell you her secret weapon in my mind is how powerful of a communicator she is. But we're going to come back to that. We're going to come back to that here in a little bit, because when I say one of the top speakers, more or less female speakers, but speakers in the world, like she really is. When she's in her groove and in flow and not in her head, like I've seen her in her head, and we all have those days, but more times I've seen her in her flow. Like it's like, oh my gosh, like what I saw her at GrowthCon, I was like, you had her on one day and Bishop Jakes on the next. It was like it was church up in there, man. It was so freaking good. But I want to talk about what's shifting for you. I see some things happening in your life. You and I haven't talked in a few months. You've been on it probably in internal journey. I've been on an internal journey, and God's doing some big things. I don't know if you can tell. I lost 40 pounds over here.
I can tell.
Yeah. So I told you I would. Grant told me I was a little chubby at the beginning of the year. I said, I'll lose 40 pounds by this time. And we have. So, but come on. So, but what are some of the things you're learning, Stormy? Like what's going on? What's like ahas and evolutions? And you said you're mind shifting. What's happening in your world right now?
It's a few things. I'll start with me. I'm learning how to step into my divine power, my divine feminine power. I used to have a lot of dominant, hard energy as a woman who dealt with a lot of trauma. I didn't know prior to recently that when you operate with such aggression, that's because you're operating from a lot of trauma. And I didn't go the counselor route. I literally went to a lot of workshops, seminars. The Book of Proverbs is, yes, one of my favorite books. I'm gonna start back reading today, as a matter of fact. But I did a lot of spiritual work. I did a lot of work that helped me to put the pieces to my life together. I learned how to decompartmentalize things that I took responsibility for, that I shouldn't have, that happened to me, that was beyond my control. I healed from those things. I wrote it down. I made sense of it versus tucking it away. And then it comes up in a relationship, or your trauma comes up in a friendship, or your trauma comes up with how you parent your children, or it comes up in your business. I went and attacked my trauma. And it's beautiful for me. It allowed me to release the things that caused me to be afraid. It allowed me to release the story that I was telling myself. Like I used to tell myself such limiting things that made me not do the things that I'm now doing. And now the second thing that I decided to do is I lead with love. Like I have a lot of love. Like my love has allowed me to have this compassion for people. Like some days are not the greatest days. And it's like, wow, Stormy, I'm aware of so much, right? But yet and still, I have days that are not as great. So imagine the people that don't know how to decompartmentalize their life. Imagine the people that don't know the power of prayer and meditation. Imagine the people that don't know the power of spirituality. Imagine the people that don't know the power of affirmations and affirmations. And when you help other people get what they want, you get what you want. What happened to those people? And so now I realize that even if I can have a day that's not so great, then now it's like, okay, Stormy, I believe that I experienced these things to have a deeper level of empathy. So my empathy for people has increased. I realize that I'm like a thought leader. I realize that I'm such a visionary, that I'm also very influential. People tend to feed off my energy. That's the third thing I've learned. I've learned that when I don't show up, I give two things I tell people. Either I'm going to be your excuse why you ain't doing something, okay? And I said ain't with the A-I-N-T, or I'm going to be the reason why you must do something. And I just decide every day that I'm going to be the reason. And it causes me to take responsibility. So I'm very, very healing, deeply healing on a spiritual level. I'm more in my divine feminine as a woman. And it's so powerful when a woman doesn't feel like she has to stand up or prove a point or, dim her light. Man, it's so so amazing. I look forward to other women experiencing this level of divine power. Compassion. I got a lot of compassion. And then the third thing I would say, love. Love is the answer to everything in life. So I give love and I receive love effortlessly and unconditionally, which means I don't mind walking away from someone or something that makes me question myself. In this season, if I find myself always questioning my abilities and the possibilities and my power and who I am because of you, I know that means that we don't have no alignment or no commonality. And I realize that that's okay. So I'm releasing those relationships that are disempowering to me, or that make me question myself. And I'm doing a lot of reading. I'm The Untethered Soul. I read that book, an amazing book. Hey, Mr. John LeCarry, an amazing book. The Magic of Thinking Big. I picked that back up recently. Principles by Ray Dalio. I picked that up. The Law of Recognition by Mike Murdoch. I got that picked up. And this book called Empathy. I'm just in my zone of growth and contribution, and it feels good.
I love that, Stormy. Man, like I'm just having a sense and an experience of a new version of you. And I know we haven't talked in months, and I'm in Miami in November. If you're there, like, I want to buy you dinner. I want to catch up. I want to strategize about how you and I are going to, I know Grant says 10X. I know the Bible says 100X. I'll take anywhere in between 10 and 100X, how we're going to do that next year in our life. And I want to talk about that here in just a second, because one of the things that's crazy about me, or about you, that I've learned about you, is when you actually put your mind to something and you go after it with a vengeance. I want to get inside that mind of how you go tackle something, whether it's in your health or your business or whatever. Seems like you're really on this mission right now to go do that. But it senses, like what I'm sensing in my gut, it has a lot to do with the work that you've been doing on yourself. Like, you don't have to go about it maybe the same way you went about it. And like, it's like going to be this forceful thing. It's probably going to be this thing of ease and hustle. Like, I'm not saying you're not going to hustle, but it's going to come from a different place because of everything that you just said. And it's just like so freaking inspiring and so beautiful, and super proud of you. And I want to tell you, like, I have to tell you, like, please, today, I know I've thought about you multiple times. Go pick up the Armor of God, Stormy. Go pick up the Armor of God from Priscilla Schreier. I promise you, you'll be like, Pete, that freaking rocked my world. I don't know if you know her. Do you know her, Stormy? Does that ring a bell? Do you know Tony Evans?
No.
Okay. Well, you're about to love this. I mean, unbelievable following, Stormy. Like, but you're going to love that. All those books you talked about are right over there on my bookshelf. So I love the books. I'm The Magic of Thinking Big is a huge one for me too, but I love the journey that you're on, and I love to see that, man. So, Stormy, woo, gosh, I feel like man, this is incredible. So what are you focused on? Like, what are you most excited about right now? Just in the market, like, what are you excited about that would help serve the people watching? Like there's a lot of negativity, like our economy, economy sucks, we're in recession, interest rates are high. It's super unfortunate. Like, my heart hurts right now with what's going on in Israel. Like, there's so much negativity happening around us. Well, help us see some of the light, because I feel like you are a light shiner. Every time I'm in your presence, I feel light. Like, I really feel light. And so help give us different perspective of things that you're excited about that could really help everybody listening right now and watching.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm very excited about my multi-level marketing business right now. Like, I'm very excited about it. If asked the question, if I went broke, how would I do it all over again? It would be through the profession of network marketing. I know a lot of people don't understand it, but I'm back excited about it because, I love that it doesn't matter if you come from Yale or jail. It doesn't matter if you have a PhD, a JD, or a GED. You could have some tremendous strides in life. You could collapse decades into days. And so I'm really excited about my network marketing journey. I had somebody bless me about 2 weeks ago. And I want to repeat this because I don't know who needs to hear this. First of all, I've learned to use pain versus allowing pain to use me. Pain has taken a lot of people out. A lot of people are no longer pursuing their dreams and goals because somebody, stopped pursuing with them. There are people that aborted the mission because of a husband or a divorce or something with their child or something with their health. But I believe that when you're really serious about what your mission is and your assignment or your purpose in life, that you're going to get tested. One of the things I say all the time is adversity advances the assignment. Pass the test to your abundance. And so I believe that there's a lot of tests happening in the world right now. Did you really mean what you said when you said you was going to do whatever it is you said that you was going to do? And so there are people that are participating in a recession through their actions. I mean, the definition of recession itself means a time of decreased economic activity. Literally, it means people ain't working. And I think that people need to get back to work. If anything, it's easier to create wealth now because there ain't nobody hardly working. So if somebody just says, okay, let me get back to work, whatever your craft is, whatever your field is, I think you got to get back to work. But here's what I decided to do. I decided to create a new vision. And I think sometimes, you know, the vision that you had, it can expire because the change in times, you know, AI, people are participating in a recession. No matter what you say, your team ain't moving like they used to move. There used to be things that got people going that is not the same. You know, I find myself having to work stronger and harder on shifting the people around me energy, just their energy.
Yeah.
Like I have to come around and like, what's up? What's up, y'all? Come on, give me some energy. Like that alone, it's like everything is energy. You know, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And I think when we understand that, like energy can never be destroyed, it can only be transferred. And so I'm realizing that I'm in the perfect vehicle. I've made over $51 million in 10 years in my company. Why would I go do something else? I got to do this. I got to create a new vision. What's the new vision, Stormy? The vision is the people that you start the race with may not be the people that you finish the race with. As a matter of fact, y'all read this in the Bible. The race is not given to the strong nor the swift, but he who that endured to the end. And what is the end? The end is when you're dead. And so for me, I'm back on my vision of helping 1,000 families. You know, I had to create a new vision. I had to say, Stormy, it's okay to go work with new people. I know you were in love with this woman. And I know you was in love with this family, but you said 1,000 families with the S. You didn't say this 1,000 family. And when you're done, you're done. So I had to remind myself of that, which means I got to do the stuff I don't want to do no more. I got to talk to that brand new person on the phone and I got to hear some of their sob stories a little bit, but that's the compassion side of me coming out. You know, like if you really got compassion, that means you're going to sit on the phone with this woman that's telling you a little bit about her issue and you're going to give her a solution though. You know, I'm not allowing people to, second thing, to create conditions in their mind that's not going to let them succeed. One of the things Grant says all the time is repeat successful actions. So I'm going to remember, what did I do when I was my most successful? I meditate every morning. I still meditate every morning. I work out every day. I had a major life-threatening surgery that could have taken me out the game, but instead I'm here. And so I just have this excitement about life. My network marketing business, I believe that, you know, we're going to go this phase. You know, we went from 10 million to 250 million as a company. We went from 250 million to 490 million. I believe that this new run that we're on, we're going to hit $1 billion company. And I know it's going to probably take us 3 years, but I'm up for the challenge. And I think that the third thing that has happened with a lot of people, number one, create the vision with a C, create the vision. Number two, you got to make sure that you have clarity in that vision, knowing what players you need to have. And here's the sad thing, what players need to go. There are some people on our teams that don't have our energy no more. And no matter how much you try, these people will discourage you. And so I clean house a lot, Pete. I would tell you that I got rid of a lot of negative energy, a lot of heavy weights. And then the third thing I could tell you that has changed for me dramatically is my communication. I am communicating with my actions though. I'm not just, you know, you ever heard that you talk so your actions speak so loud, I can't hear what you're saying. Your actions speak so loud, I can't hear what you're saying. I find myself back at Holiday Inns doing meetings. It's like, yeah, I'm at a Holiday Inn, baby. Can you believe it? But I'm excited about it. And so I'm just working in the capacity of, you know, seeing the end and the beginning and knowing that this run is going to be about new energy, new faces, and my ability to, number four, stay committed. Like I'm very committed to the end result. And it's nothing that nobody can do or say. I'm going through some things in my personal life right now, but you'll never know it because I know that that's a part of the adversity. So why would I let the adversity throw me off my A game? No, I'm going to let it advance my assignment. I just got to pass the test to my abundance. So if I let this personal issue going on in my life make me be on here crying and depressed and looking all disheveled because I got something going on in my personal life, my dreams and goals don't care about what's going on in my personal life. As a matter of fact, my dreams and goals want to see how much I want them, because if I show up in spite of the adversity, then my dreams and goals are going to happen even faster. That's how you collapse decades into days, when you believe in spite of whatever the situation may look like. And that's the level I'm on right now.
I love it. I love it. Hey, I got three more things I want to say, three more questions that I want to pose your way. One of them comes up for me, so I'm just not, I got to go there. I didn't have an intention of this. I wasn't even thinking this, but you said like, we're called to run this race till the end and we're going to face adversity. And a lot of people quit on the race, which is why like during this race of life, consider life a race. Why the people you started with aren't going to be the people you end? Because a lot of us have an end mentality. Like, we're going to run this race till the very end. Tim Tebow said something to a group of ours that we're not supposed to leave this earth like rested. We're supposed to leave it tired. And then, you know, like, you put it all out there. And yes, you take rest, and yes, you meditate. That's not what he was saying. He was like, but you go till the very end. Like, don't, you know, if you believe in heaven, I believe in heaven. I believe there is an eternal, like, don't get there and be like, man, I feel so rested. Now what can I do? No, be there. Like, I laid it all on the line. I gave it all out, and I gave it my everything. And so I love that you have that mentality, Stormy. But one of the things that has really become hit home, and probably more so for you, is just recently you lost a close friend, and a friend that I was actually at the Tebow event with. She had given a lot of money to the Tebow Foundation, and I got to spend time out there with her. We prayed over her. We had an incredible, beautiful time with her. And I believe that's someone who ran the race as hard as she freaking could while she was on this earth. And I didn't know her as well as you know her, but I'm talking about Jessie Lee Ward. Like, it broke my heart to hear about that. But that's somebody who really lived the race, that ran the race while she was here. Talk to me about just like how how you're doing, like, is important to me, but two, what were some of the lessons that you learned from her life, Stormy? I'm just curious about, because you and her were really close.
Wow. First of all, may she rest in power. She, for me, was one of the most authentic humans I ever met. She gave me permission to embrace my authenticity, whether someone likes it or not. Like, she gave me permission to be my authentic self, but to grow in my authenticity. Her tattoo on her leg, her scream, her goofy talks that she would have sometimes, but then she'll come back with something strong. So number one, Jessie Lee taught me, you know, authenticity, and to grow and to embrace who you are, because there are people out there that need your message. Don't try to have imposter syndrome and be like somebody else and deliver a message like them. No, there's a group of people that were called to you. They need your look. They need your energy. They need your swagger. They need your candidness. They need your boldness. They need it. That's one of the things that I learned from Jessie. Another thing that I learned from Jessie, I don't know, if you go to her Instagram page, to me, it will blow your mind as to how much Jessie Lee wanted to contribute to humanity. You know, there's something called the 6 basic human needs I learned from Tony Robbins, and one is certainty, one is growth, and one is contribution. And Jessie Lee, to me, embodied that she wanted to contribute. However she found it fit. From her TikTok video, she was always teaching. If you want to learn about just life and network marketing, you can literally go to her Instagram page, and she showed me how you got to have resilience. This lady fought with stage 4 cancer and left behind a catalog that, if we tapped into her, our lives would change immensely. So that's another thing I learned. But I also learned, you know, that health is wealth. You know, I learned that health is wealth. And I began from her passing to not only decide to get back to work stronger in my network marketing business, but to keep the focus about the transformations, mind, body, spirit, finances, and relationships. Because, you know, knowing that she acquired stage 4 cancer, of course, you never know how it was acquired. But one of the things I hear is that she was a carnivore. She ate a lot of meat. And so my spirit, it makes me feel bad, because I sell a cleanse. I sell a cleanse product. So it made me decide to change my energy from, okay, everybody I talk to is about them buying it, or me trying to sell them something, or me trying to sign them up, to now understanding your product really works. And if people cleansed more, got them toxins out of their body, they would live longer. And it made me decide to have this deeper level of compassion, because no matter how much money she made, Jessie Lee was rich. She was wealthy. She made millions of dollars a month. She changed so many lives. I believe she laid her life down for the people. But at the end of the day, we got to remember to take care of ourselves. We do. We got to remember to go get our exams, to, you know, eat as best as we can, to have personal time. We ain't got to have too much, but we got to take care of ourselves. And it can't just be about the grind. It has to be about your person as well as you're on the grind. And so I will say this, you know, Jessie Lee is a living legend. I will forever honor her. I know I would not be the woman I am today if I did not meet Jessie Lee. she again gave me permission to be Stormy, to be authentic, to embrace my whole story and not to be afraid to leave parts of it out because I'm afraid of, who am I going to offend? One of the reasons why you said something, Peter, I'll tell you, you said that you could tell when I got in my head, and I could tell you, I would get in my head when I would see an audience like this, when I would go in a room and it would be, 900, white and Latino and Asian and Norwegian, and it's 5 Black people, I would feel uncomfortable. And then I realized as I would speak after the events was over, I don't care if they was white, Norwegian, Asian, they would come up to me and be like, I understand you. I've been through that. That touched me. When I spoke at the last 10X in Miami and nobody sat down, my whole talk, I didn't ask them to stand up. They couldn't sit down. That moment was the moment that I realized that I have a message for everybody. It's not the Black girl message. It's not the broke girl message. I have the message for humanity. And I know that once I finish talking, you're going to be able to get something from my message, because there's a part of me and everybody. We all have experienced some of the things that I've experienced, but I hope that everybody gets to experience the other levels, which comes with the self-love, like what you talked about earlier.
Yeah, no, I love that, Stormy. Thank you for this, just the way that you honored her life and the things that you learned from her. Like, one of the things, like, I got the chance to learn from her is, like, I didn't, her and I didn't necessarily connect out of the gates. We met through Eric Worre, and it's not that we had anything wrong. It was just, there just wasn't a connection. And she came to an event that we hosted last year in San Diego on a yacht cruise. And Stormy, you were supposed to be there, but you had something come up last minute. And Jesse came up and said, Pete, I want to donate a significant amount to the Tim Tebow Foundation. And I couldn't believe the amount. Let's just say it was very, very big amount. And when we went out there to go spend time, the 15 biggest givers went out there to spend time with Tim and Ed Milet and Demi Tebow, who is Miss Universe. And Jesse was one of those out there just in May or June of this year. And I just saw her compassion for for mankind. Like, if it's entrepreneurs, it's like, I want to help make you the best. But if it were kids that were being sex trafficked, it was the same. Like, she was all in. She's like, Pete, as soon as you guys build real estate for sex trafficking victims, you let me know, because I'm all in. I mean, she was asking Tim, like, what's it take to build a building or a facility or a rehab center? Like, she was the one just putting herself out there out of these 10 or 15. And that's the memory that I get to, think of. And I didn't know her like you knew her, but I knew what my experience was of someone who really cared about people. And here's the crazy thing. She was, struggling a little bit. Her health was struggling a little bit, but she was out there on the pickleball court, giving it everything with Tim's wife, Demi. And so just someone who lived life to the fullest is something like and a lot of people aren't living life to the fullest. So I'm super grateful for you and talking about that, because I haven't talked about it anywhere. And I just felt like this was the place to do that. Stormy, not just for her, for Jesse, but for you too. It's been speaking on stages have been a big part of your brand growing. Talk to the audience, because one of the things we haven't even talked about is this is back behind the scenes of great speakers on stages. But how big has stages been for you? And what would your encouragement to be to everybody listening to today around just stages, digital and physical stages?
I mean, first of all, getting out of obscurity is the thing that we all should want, because if nobody knows you, then nobody knows you. And I think that one of the greatest skills that you can learn is how to communicate. Like, I'm still learning how to communicate myself. But I want to communicate in a way in which I touch the hearts of the people. When you're on your journey of trying to figure things out, you think that you want to be the most prolific, most articulate, with the most amazing vocabulary, but then you get on the stage and realize that you lose people because your vocabulary is too articulate, or your words are too big, or your energy is too little. And then you realize that people just want authenticity, but they want you to learn how to deliver it in a way in which they can understand what you're saying. And I can tell you now that I would not be the woman I am today if it wasn't for my ability to say what I mean and say it in a way in which you could get it. Something that I got this today as I love this book, this is, oh my God, amazing. And I turned to a page and it was like, what is understanding? I mean, what is communication without an understanding? And I was like, oh my God, we really be thinking people be knowing what we're saying. And here's the thing, we're talking right now to thousands of people, right? But everybody's hearing something different. It doesn't matter how much you try to articulate and, convey a message, we're still going to receive the message based on where we are. But one thing I can tell you that's timeless. Learning how to communicate is timeless. Whether you're communicating to tell somebody three things. Number one, I believe that you communicate to tell a person who you are. Who are you? Like, first of all, for a person to want to listen, they got to know who you are. I guarantee you, when I gave a lot of my stories, some people checked out mentally. They're like, oh, I don't want to hear what she has to say. And some checked in. It doesn't matter, but I articulated who I am, and those that wanted to hear more from me because of who I am and where I came from leaned in. So number one, you got to learn how to communicate who you are. You got to, like, that's everything. Like, imagine not meeting your husband or your wife because when you meet them, you don't know how to tell them who you are. Like, it matters in every area, not just business. And I had to learn that. Like, I had to learn that there's a business communication. When I'm Coach Stormy, the coach, there's a compassionate conversation. When I want to touch their soul, there's a conversation I got to have with my daughter differently from my son. There's a conversation I got to have with my man differently from my business partner that's a man. So that understanding changed everything for me. And I could tell you a lot of that happened from me being in the 10X family, from me being in the speak off and judging the speak off and watching these people. It's like you get to see yourself. And so number one, I think it's everything. You got to learn how to communicate so people can understand who you are. The second thing, you got to communicate, what can you do for somebody? Like, we want to know, like, okay, I know who you are. Okay, what could you do for me? What could you do for me? I think people want to always know that they're tuned into WIIFM. What's in it for me? Or, what can you do for me? So learning how to articulate your product, your service, your offer, your book, your tax business, your credit repair company in a way in which people, number three, can you communicate for them to understand, receive, and want to invest in you, whether it's money or time or both. And so I believe that the journey of learning how to do that never stops. It never stops because the world is not stopping. So you could have thought you learned how to communicate 5 years ago because you was in a communication class. What is it called? Toastmakers or something. And now here comes AI and new communication styles, and you got to go brush up on how to communicate. So I could tell you now, man, like, it's everything. I'm excited about this speak off because, listen, y'all, one conversation can change your life.
Yeah.
One right conversation. Watch this. Hear me out. One right conversation can make you say, I am not about to be depressed no more. I was suicidal, but now I want to live. I was broke, but I could see myself building and working towards, not just millions, but being able to take care of my family and millions to come. Like, one conversation can make you decide to go on a diet. One conversation can make you change everything. Think about that. And for me, it's like, I hope some way, somehow, that I give that conversation to at least the people that's supposed to hear it, because I may not never get that chance again. And so I try to be authentic. So if I lose, I'm not losing because I was my authentic self. And it's kind of like, when the Bible says my sheep know my voice, right? I am no pastor. I am no preacher. I don't want to be put in that box, but I want my people who are supposed to hear me, who was depressed, who was suicidal, who had anxiety, who thought they couldn't do it, who thought they were too old, too fat, too skinny, too dumb, to be like, oh no, honey. After hearing her, I know I could do it. So that's my goal. And I think that comes through perfecting and learning the art of communication.
Guys, she said it. You're one conversation, one-to-one, one-to-many, online, offline, away from things going crazy. This Saturday, we're doing the virtual speak off. And if you're listening to this after the fact on one of our channels or our podcast, you can still go to this page because we do it every year, speakoff.com. We're going to have close to 10,000 people registered for this Saturday, speakoff.com. And you will get the opportunity to be a part of this year's Speak Off. We've already done it in Miami a couple of times. We're doing a private invite one in Denver, but you can be a part of the virtual one that's happening this week. And Stormy was a judge, not just in the semifinals for the final 12, the 150 that got cut down to 12, but she was also a judge for the final 4 that were on the GrowthCon stage last year. And it was the highest octane of noise in the building, more than Tom Brady, was the Speak Off, the finals last year. And Stormy, Elena, Grant, and me were the judges that judged the final 4. Man, Stormy, it was huge. So guys, if you're signed up, I want you to go to speakoff.com and get registered. It's free. I highly encourage you to pay the $97 for the VIP. You're getting one-on-one coaching, training, and you're getting a guaranteed audition this Saturday. But Stormy, your experience with seeing those people evolve and how good they got over that time, like talk about your experience last year in that Speak Off.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. First of all, I learned that you could deliver a powerful message in like 2 minutes. Like you really can. It doesn't take a lot of time. So that's one of the things I learned, and I learned that being with you guys. I also saw in action, head, heart, hand. Is that it, right? Yeah. Head, heart, hand. And it's the truth. You got to learn how to move through the conversation. And I saw that in real action in a minute, like last year. And another thing I could tell y'all that I saw, and I'm giving y'all some good gifts and game right here. Know who you talking to, right? Know what you want from that person. It's not, you got to think this is not the time to talk about my dog and my son who, got married to somebody he shouldn't have married. This is not the time. You got to think, okay, who am I talking to and how do I have them? They could be writing, but what do I say to get them to do like this? Because they just want to see me because they can't believe I said that. And that was one of the things I saw that happened last year. Like, how do you get Grant and Elena and Pete and Stormy to want to look at you? It's not about moving around. It's about that energy that you bring. And I think it only comes from stepping into your authenticity and allowing your heart to speak, but know that this is not the time for a pity party either.
Yep.
Oh my God, this is not the time to tell your victim story. And if you do, you got to tell it so quick that you get to the win. But remember who you're talking to. When I look at y'all are business people. I'm happy that they have you because you bring the emotional heart factor. Grant and Elena's a little bit kind of like you, but Grant's like, come on, get to it. I got to think about, do I want to put you in front of my audience? I got to remember when you're talking to Grant needs to know, can he put you in front of his audience at GrowthCon? Yeah. So if you don't give that energy that's going to make GrowthCon people stand to their feet, he's not going to, even if he like you, he got to be like, but no, this is not my GrowthCon person. So just think, this is Grant Cardone's stage, who he is. Like interestingly enough, if y'all paid attention to me, one of the first things I said is that I own my house free and clear, contrary to what Grant beliefs are. I literally gave Grant a plug the first 20 seconds of my conversation because this is his platform. So I do own my house. Grant doesn't advocate for that, but boom, look at that. So find ways to integrate Grant. Don't forget Elena, don't forget whoever the judges are, but quickly captivate the audience with authenticity and know who you're talking to. And I learned that you could give a good speech literally in 60 seconds. Yeah, and then, oh my God, and then judging at the growth, at the winner, watching him just blossom. And like, he's amazing. What was his name again?
Glenn,
y'all. Oh my God.
And then Cowboy Randy.
Oh my, I still love Cowboy Randy. Glenn and Cowboy Randy is still my two favorites. And I know that they grew just coming through GrowthCon.
Yeah, I love it. Guys, I want you to do something for me today. I want you to actually go on Instagram right here. And I know most of you are just listening, but I want you to go follow Coach Stormy. I want you to follow Coach Stormy. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to tag me and her, and I want you to tell us your biggest nugget from her today. So whenever you're listening to that, tag me, tag her, and tell us what your biggest nugget from today was, because here's what that will do for her. She will see some themes, and that will help her go deeper in those things every time she shares, to say, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was going to resonate with them. Because part of communication is understanding what landed for the audience. You get to be a blessing to her the same way she's been a blessing to us today. So go follow Coach Stormy, tag me, tag her, and then, hey, go let the world know about the Speak Off. Like, you need to be in it, but go let the world know. Because Stormy, I'm going to let you give final thoughts here in just a second, but Stormy says you're one conversation away. I want you to see this domino right here. Here's the domino. Stormy might not remember this. Stormy had to win my heart and my mind, and she did that in Las Vegas at a mastermind that I spoke at. She came up to me. She's like, I cannot believe that you are here. I've been thinking about how am I going to get connected to you. And she basically story braided me. It was one-on-one. I fell in love with her. Like just who she is as a person and a human. Then all of a sudden she's like, how can you help me with my speaking? And awesome. Like, by the way, first thing she did is she's like, I wasn't even thinking that, but she's like, how can I invest in you? Like, there is a theme to this. Then she says, hey, come to my event. I really want you to help me with my event, but I want you to see it first before you do it. So I go to her event and I'm blown away by her event. Listen, this is all leading with one conversation. What she doesn't know is I did something at her event that I had never, ever done. And she might not even remember this, but I FaceTimed Grant Cardone. And at that point, Grant didn't know Stormy that well. He kind of knew of her. And I FaceTimed him. I had never FaceTimed him to say, hey, here's this buddy or this buddy who I'm working with or this buddy. Nobody. She was the only one. I FaceTimed her backstage in the green room. I'm like, Grant, you got to know Stormy. Yeah. And Stormy backstage, she kept it real. She was authentic. She got a little ghetto in her. She was like, she kept it real. She was like, I loved it because that's who she is. And he kept it real. And then a meeting came out of that. And a meeting came out of that. And then her becoming one of the biggest investors in Cardone Capital came out of that. And then a stage came out of that, of 10X Growth Con. And one of her biggest events that we did together came out of that. The power of one conversation, the power of being a powerful communicator. What if she doesn't get my attention? I'm not saying, Stormy, none of that stuff happens, but it might not if you don't get my attention with that one conversation. She won me over in that living room of that mastermind. Stormy, that to me is the power of communication. And I stand by what I said. You're one of the most powerful communicators in the world. What's your final thoughts to Backstage with PV3 today as we leave here?
I would tell y'all this: find your it factor. Find your it factor. Find that uniqueness that only you could bring. And remember, people got to be interested in you, but you got to be interesting to make people interested in you. I knew that I couldn't come to Grant like your typical, like one of those type of people. I had to be like, hey, listen, what's up, Grant? I want to make some money with you. We had a meeting. We had a business meeting. I said, hey, Grant, I know that you're doing big things in the real estate industry, and I know that you probably don't have no little black girls like me that can invest big money. But I want to sit down with you and see the possibilities of being an investor. What's good, Grant? Can we have a meeting? Period. I said, I know you love Jay-Z. You about the vibe you love. I can tell you got some soul in you. Let's connect. I could bring an energy to your 10X family that you don't have. Quickly, I got in there real quick. I didn't give him no sob stories and none of that. So the truth is, what's going to make you interesting? Find that it factor about yourself. And when you go to, of course, make sure y'all register. What is this? Registration for the grant, speakoff.com. Go to speakoff.com and register, because here's the deal. Just having an opportunity to align in that type of energy, to have the chance to be seen by one person. Think about the doors that can open. I'm going to tell you. So being seen by a Pete or being seen by the different judges can elevate you and put you on stages that you couldn't even have put yourself on in the next 10 years. So it literally is an opportunity to collapse decades into days by crafting that message that makes them say, let me FaceTime Grant for Grant to see who you are. And you can do that in 60 seconds. And I will tell you this. This is what you should do. Think about what is the thing that you got rid of, the pain that you got rid of, the way you grew, what made you so special, and find a way to tell us that, but tell us that from a place of pain, but from a place of strength. And don't forget who Grant Cardone is, and that you are auditioning to be on the stage at 10X for the world, for 50, 60, 70,000 people to hear who you are. And just imagine, I tell you this, Pete, you don't know this. There are people in my community. There are people that spend $10,000 to $15,000 to come to my events. And no lie, every time I get in a room with my highest ticket holders and I say, how did you find out about me? No, they always say 10X. So I get my highest caliber of people that buy $10,000 to $15,000 tickets, and they will always say, I saw you at Growth Con. People when I go through my community, I see a lot of different faces that I'm not used to seeing. And I ask them, how did you find out about me? They always say, Growth Con, Grant Cardone, Pete Vargas, 10X. And so I upped my level of impact and influence when I came into y'all community. And I want to tell you this is crazy because I need you to invite me to some things. I got up a few days ago after leaving my awakening. I just did my 10th awakening. It was insane. Oh my God, it was insane. And when I had my intimate diamond day, again, they paid $12,000 for a ticket. Literally, it was 15 of them. 8 of the 15 came from y'all. I said, you know what? I got to get back around. More people need to hear my story because I need some more people from y'all community that come spend time with me. So y'all, when you get in new communities, you get a greater level of influence. You get new people who knew that me being on GrowthCon was going to have women spending $10, $12, $13, $14, $15,000 with me. So it ended up being worth the investment. And so if you got to spend $100 or $5,000 or $10,000, I don't know what it costs to get access to their network. Come on, y'all, your net worth is your net worth. And those people are going to turn into customers for us. So invite me anytime, Pete. Anytime. You guys follow me anytime you need me, I'm there.
Come on, Stormy. Hey, guys, will y'all give some love to Coach Stormy today? Come on, give some love. Coach, follow her. And listen, I'm going to be paying attention. I'm going to find somebody whose nugget is powerful, and I'm going to give you an incredible gift. But you got to tag her. You got to tag me. And I'm going to give you an incredible gift for somebody who actually tells us about their nugget from today. So grateful for Stormy. So grateful for her being here. She's a powerhouse. I miss you. We got to get in person sometime soon. Cool, Stormy?
You know what I want to do? I want to do this. Whoever we like as a favorite person, we could put them in like maybe a drawing or something. And I think people would love to have a 15-minute conversation with you and I. One 15-minute conversation with you and a 15-minute conversation with me. Just to let them answer, ask us a couple of questions. I want to do that. Whoever gets the best tag, we pick one person and we'll have a 15-minute conversation with them so they can access anything they want.
Come on, girl. Let's go, guys. There we go. There we go. A little bit more. So make sure you go do that. And guys, I will see you what another amazing episode of Backstage with PV3. We're back here every single week. Make sure you go sign up for the Speak Off, speakoff.com, and we will see you next week. See you guys.